Hey, welcome to the Lifestyle Creation Podcast, designing life on your terms. I'm your host, Jamie Thurber, and I'm an expert operations manager, productivity queen, mindset, business, and lifestyle coach. Basically, getting shit done is my jam. And I believe in the power of intentional living and in real conversations that can shift your perspective, create habits, and ultimately achieve the freedom that you want in every area of your life. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being here. Today's episode topic is not what I originally expected to record, but it just kept popping in my head, so here we are, right? If you're listening to this around the time that it's being recorded or published, right now it's like late May. We have, a couple weeks before Memorial Day, mid to late May. And in the Midwest specifically, that means that we are going through, spring and summer craziness. So here in St. Louis, like our weather is dramatic and bipolar. But anyways, we're getting ready, right? Like spring is things are green. Like we're having hot days. We're having still some cool days, lots of rain, whatever. We're in the seasonal shift, getting ready for the seasonal shift. And most people everywhere, I feel like, doesn't matter if you're hot, it's hot where you live all the time. I feel like summer, and for a lot of people, starts like June 1st, right? Like that's a thing, at least in this hemisphere, I should say. So, with all that being said, to talk about what's been on my mind lately, and there's just a couple of really cool realizations and some really interesting tips that I can give you around something that's become one of my ultimate tools. Like it's one of my favorite things to do also, which is funny. When you hear me talk about it, you'll be like, what? And it's purging. More so like preparing for a new season. I like to call it preparing for a new season because that sounds a whole lot better than purging. But the truth is that, it's kind of a more descriptive word that fits better, the word purging. But anyway, you catch my drift. And the idea of that for me and what I'm getting at and what I'll be discussing over the next, 20 minutes or so with you here is the idea of getting rid of shit that you don't want or need or that is not serving you. And I mean in all of the ways possible. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Several years ago, I started shifting away from like the general way of looking at time, right? So like half the time I have no idea what day of the week it is unless like I don't know, the weekends like don't really mean anything. Like each one of my days is treated individually and things like that. That was probably one of the first things. The other thing is like, I love every season, and I know everybody's like, oh my God, the summer, and everybody wants the summer, right? Well, I like them all. And so the other part of that though is, I don't know about you, but I always feel different times of the year. And the more I started to pay attention to that, the more I wanted to know why, or potentially not even why, but I wanted to pay attention to that. I'm a big fan of data, of having data, whatever you want to call it. So that I can make as much of a proactive or informed decisions as possible based upon my own knowledge, my own needs, my own experiences, things like that. So that's why I track things, which we've discussed on previous podcasts. That's why I start, paying close attention to some of these things that some people are like, I don't understand why you pay attention to that. And one of them for me was the seasons, the energy that's alive with me personally during different parts of the year. And the more I started to learn about that, the more I started learning about the wheel of the year, which kind of, dates back to the beginning of time, really. Because if you think about it, prior to us having the, scientific knowledge, or not even knowledge, is the development that we have in the world now. Prior to that, the people that lived on Earth had no other choice, right, but to live by the seasons, to live by the weather, to live by the sun, to live by how long a day was, what would grow when, those types of things. They prepared their lives, their households, their bodies, their family, their food supply, right? Everything was prepared or shifted based upon the current season or the upcoming season. So I personally don't like to spend entirely too much time preparing for the upcoming season because I want to enjoy the existing one. So it's a shorter process for me than I think some people like to make it. And that's just my personal preference. Like, I don't like to spend too much time living in what's going to be. And I like to spend more time living in what is, than, as much time as I can. And so as a result of that, um, this kind of started to really develop here for me. And so I like the fact that we get back to, because as human beings, while the world has changed, the way that our body is structured in a lot of ways has not. As far as like why people tend to hibernate during the wintertime or feel more tired, or like quote unquote seasonal depression. I don't mean quote unquote. Let's erase that. Anyways, that's not what I meant. But seasonal depression, right? Like some of these things that we feel a little bit more down, a little bit more less likely to socialize, potentially, different things like that, a little bit more nested during the winter seasons. That's just because our body is naturally in that recuperation, hibernation space. And then as the spring starts to happen and things start to lighten up and the days become longer and the weather starts to change, or things start to grow, whatever, our bodies naturally start to wake up and feel different. And then in summer, same thing. And then in fall, same thing. And so I went deeper down the rabbit hole and learning not only like traditionally the energies and the things that are alive during different seasons, but even more so like just me, like what suits me during different times, and what things don't I like and what things do I like, what don't I want to feel like during certain seasons because it sucked last year, or whatever, right? And so along that line, one of the things that I recognized that I was doing without being as mindful maybe about the reasoning was that I would do or feel the itch. I would get these itches to do a purge, to clear shit out. I would start to feel, and now what it feels like more for me, and which is what brought on this conversation, is I feel almost like things are building up around me and it's time for me to like flush it out. Imagine your house being stuffy, or like you burn the toast, right? And there's smoke in the air and you open the windows, right? To let that residue and that smoke out. Similar concept in the way I like to look at it. So basically, what I found myself experiencing the last like week, I'm in that space, right? Where I'm like, all right, wait a minute, what time is it? What day of the month is it in May? And realizing that I started to feel this, like the walls are caving and I'm like, I have too much stuff. There's too much stuff in here. I need to get rid of things, or I need to move stuff around. And the truth is, I don't believe that I've necessarily acquired an entirely larger amount of things in the last few months, but it starts to feel that way to me. So when I start to feel that, I like to pay attention to it, because my home and the way that I feel in my space is extremely important for a few reasons. One, because I work from here as well, but also because I don't want tension and overwhelm or chaos living in my space. If I can, as much as I can prevent it, I want to prevent it, which isn't always, possible. But in a lot of cases, I've learned that it is. There's a lot of things that I can control in that way. And that also allows me a healthy control pattern, and like that allowed me to let go of a lot of my old unhealthy control patterns that I evaluated and, worked through. So anyway, part of it is for me, I tend to do like a physical space purging in the fall and in the summer. So you can look at it two different ways. One, you can look at it, that's when I shift my clothes. So if you want to go, I'm going to give you two sides of the coin here. We're going to go the very logical purpose, which is like, that's when I shift my clothes. That's when like the things that I use, a lot of the stuff I use in the wintertime, I don't use anymore. And the stuff I use in the summertime comes out of storage, things like that. Like I get out all of my flower pots, I put away my my firewood rack and my firewood tools and like, or my fireplace tools, like different things. All of my winter boots don't need to be out anymore. All of the separate containers I have filled with hats and scarves, like all that stuff can go away. So it's a very logical thing, right? Like it's getting warmer. I don't need certain things. I won't need certain things for the next several months, right? So like, why not put them out of my space so that my space feels like my physical space feels clear and productive and clean and good, right? Not overwhelming. So that's the logical side. Also, like, I don't have enough room in my closet for both of my seasons of things to comfortably live. So there's that. There's that truth. And then on the other side, there's the energetic and more what people, I guess, would refer to as like the woo-woo side, right? And that's the fact that, the summer solstice, I tend to do this right before summer solstice and right before the fall equinox. Tend to be the time frames that I make these purges and I make these shifts in my space. The decor changes a little bit. I get a little bit more nested, like I talked about, as we're getting ready for winter. So I bring certain other things in, like more of my crafting projects and stuff tend to come out during that time. Stuff like that, right? So it does correlate with, like, those are massive shifts in the wheel of the year. Those are massive shifts. Summer solstice, and which tends to happen mid to late June, and then the fall equinox, which is September. Yeah, September. Anyway, that tends to be when it happens for me, because also those are massive shifts in energy completely, right? Like, we go away from being like frolicking and sun loving and hedonist and these types of energies into crone and hermit and um, different types of, I'm thinking of different tarot cards, honestly, but anyway, there's just a different energy, right? And I like that. I personally love it. I like to follow my own flow, and with that, but definitely on like what feels alive for me. But anyways, those are both sides of the coin as the reasons why I do it in the summer and why I do it in the, like, why it fits to do it right before summer and then right before fall or right before winter, as we're heading, fall is beginning. So anyway, I want to talk about the act of actually doing this. I kind of just described the reason, but specifically even like in this space. So a lot of times people, if they complain to me about not being able to sleep, one of the things I'll inquire about, other than their day-to-day, like their daily habits and especially their evening habits, is their bedroom. Like, what's your bedroom like? Do you have, like, what do you have in it, basically? What color are the walls? What kind of decor do you have in it? What kind of stuff? Is it clean? Is it simple? Is it cluttered? Like, tell me the truth, right? And what I know to be true about my life is, because let's just be real, I used to literally be a slob. Like, it's still, the tendencies are there, still there in some ways. But my mom will tell you, she comes into my house now and she's like, where did my kid go? That was so fucking messy. And I'm like, because everything's very organized. And I'm like, well, your kid that was really messy moved into a really small house. Like, she didn't have several times, right? Moving into an apartment. And then I did live in a pretty big townhouse and then bigger houses. But like, anyway, it's just, I don't want to deal with the shit is basically what it turns into. And it got way more like minimalistic when I moved out of state and came back. That was a thing. So anyway, she laughs about that, but it's to me now, I ask people that question again back, about the sleep problem, because like, if your room is really loud, meaning there's a lot going on, if you have a ton of books with titles on them, if you have a ton of like really loud artwork, if your walls are a loud bright color, different things like that can cause you to feel overwhelmed and anxious in ways that you don't realize, to where your brain has a harder time shutting down and turning off to go to sleep peacefully, because it's surrounded by things that need to be done or things that are awakening it, right? The other thing I tell people is to try to keep your work stuff out of your bedroom, which I personally struggle with, and to keep like laundry and things like that out of your bedroom, or like put them in your closet. So that's what I typically do. If I have laundry that needs to be done or folded or put away, I put it in the closet and close the door, so that it's not like staring at me and I don't feel like I should be doing something when I'm trying to get like in my sleep zone, right? So I'm telling you this about the specific room because it's a good example, but basically the idea is your space. My whole point of explaining this to you is that your space affects your mindset, your energy, your capacity level to not be distracted, to be more creative, to have more time and space, to be more better, like to be more better. That's not a real word. To be better at time management or be more present. Like, a lot of those things are affected by our surroundings in ways that are very subconscious that we don't realize are even happening. And energetically, a lot of this, the colors and the noise, the things, the big loud stuff in your space fits in that way too. Especially, like, it can even be things that you look at and remind you of something that make you feel like shit. Move that shit out of your bedroom. Put it away for a while. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of it, but put it away for a while. If every time you walk past something it makes you feel crappy, get rid of it. Move it away. Move it out of your bedroom. Move it out of the space that you're walking past every day, and rid yourself of that feeling, right? Like, that's a purge activity too. But then the act of actually clearing the physical space specifically is looking through, and this is one that you've heard a million times, right? But if it's like something that you haven't worn, if we're talking about clothes, something you haven't worn in, like, example, right now I'm getting ready to put away my winter clothes, and I've already pulled a ton of stuff out of the closet that I didn't wear the entire winter. And a couple of them I know that I didn't even touch the year before, but I like cut myself some slack, right? Because it was COVID and we didn't go anywhere. So it's like, I can't get rid of clothes I didn't have a fucking any place to go. So like, that doesn't count. So that tends to be what I do. I usually do it at the beginning and at the end. So if there's stuff in there that like doesn't fit or I don't like when I'm pulling out clothes for the season, they go away. I tend to be like, if they're nice stuff, I'll put them on Poshmark, or I'll put them in, a bin to donate. And then at the end, I do the same thing before I put the other season's clothes away, right? So that's a quick way to clear space when it comes to clothing items specifically. But when it comes to other things, like, you could talk about your linens, like your towels and wash rags and things like that. Like, if they're ripped up or stained or whatever, then you look at that and decide, like, is this going to be like a cleaning rag, or do I need to get rid of it? And things with towels and blankets, we donate that stuff to animal shelters, or you can go downtown or wherever you can find people who need blankets and towels, like homeless people, people who are in more need of that. There are shelters you can deliver them to, things like that. Obviously, you don't need to be, I'm just giving you ideas. You don't need to donate all of your shit if you don't want to. I'm just giving you ideas of places to get rid of it, because a lot of people also will do a purge. They'll put everything in trash bags or boxes, and then they don't know what to do with it, so it just sits there and continues to take up space. So there's that, right? The other thing is, if you look around and there's stuff that you just don't even know why you have it, you don't use it, you don't need it. Like, somehow I tend to acquire like a ton of bags, like tote bags, duffel bags, book bags, travel bags, like so many bags. It's a fucking thing, okay? Unnecessarily so. So I will look around and I'll start to see them to pile up, and I'm like, why do I have all these bags? And I'll just go through them and say, okay, do I want to give these away? Do I just want to put them in storage? Like, do I really like this? Because maybe I like this book bag, but I always use the other one, so I'm going to put this in storage till the other one like breaks or something, right? So anyway, making those decisions to clear stuff out of your space doesn't always need to mean that you're getting rid of things either. It can mean that you're putting things into storage or putting it away, like in a box downstairs neatly where you know where it is. The whole point is that we're treating our items with care and consideration and appreciation no matter what. That's a huge part of purging, in my opinion. Like, if you're walking around fucking pissed off and angry at the crap that you're surrounded by, and like you don't even acknowledge, or you're not present with like what you're getting rid of, that's not helping in the act. Like, it's really not constructive, super constructive. You may wind up with less shit, but it's like you don't even realize that you did. Like, the emotional and the mental part of it's not there. And so like there's an act that comes into practice with like making intentional decisions on what you're getting rid of and not getting rid of, and putting, there's a huge piece to it. Trust me, method to my madness, right? So the act of actually deciding what you're going to keep, what you're not going to keep, and what you're going to put away into storage can be so much as like, I don't like the way that looks anymore. Like, I don't want it there. Or, I've used this thing in 2 years. Like, why the fuck do I have it? Or, I haven't used this thing in 2 years. I don't want to get rid of it because I might need it for this particular special fucking project or event or whatever. So then you, like I said, package it away nicely, put it away in a place that you know where it is. There's a lot of intent that comes into owning. It's, you know what it is? Here's what it is, you guys. It's responsibility. It's taking responsibility for what you have and what you're allowing in your space. Being aware and taking responsibility for the choice to allow and have things in your space, or not to have things in your space. I enjoy having reasons behind everything personally, because then it doesn't feel overwhelming, and there's like more of an actual energetic connection and different things there that fit and feel really nice personally. Um, but I believe that it is absolutely a responsibility factor, because a lot of times when we have clutter, we have stuff shoved under the bed, shoved in the closet, shoved in places. It's because we're rushing around and we're not taking responsibility for our own belongings and the things that we've acquired and the things that we've brought into our own homes or our spaces, where, that's where paper piles up. Trash bags, like, when I say trash bags, I mean like the grocery bags, paper bags, things like that pile up. Stuff like that piles up, and it's a lot of times because we just don't want to fucking deal with it, which we shove it somewhere. And it's like, that's not taking responsibility for the crap that you have, and that's the stuff that piles up and then eventually makes us feel overwhelmed and frustrated, and something that could have been easily, dealt with turns into a mountain that's going to take weeks to deal with, or hours or whatever. So I hope that that's making sense, kind of like the act of the reasons behind, like the different things that kind of feed into this process, and why it's so important and why it can be so beneficial to you. The other part of like being intentional and aware, the awareness factor of what you're choosing to put where, like if you're putting the stuff into storage or you're getting rid of it, being present and making that decision consciously helps clear your mind in a lot of ways, because you're not wondering where that thing went. You're not ever thinking, oh my God, I think I have that somewhere, but I don't remember. Like, if you're being intentional with the act of purging things, you're aware of what you have and what you don't, for the most part, truthfully. Like, you're pretty aware of, especially if like you're choosing to get rid of bigger things or put them away, like you're going to remember. So there's a clearing of space in your mind, which clears capacity for you to have less stress, more creativity, more ability to be present, and have the ability to potentially have more happiness and positivity in general. Because when we're not being bogged down by things in our heads that we like to write off as silly and not a big deal, but they bog us down, when we can release those things, like, it makes more space for the good shit, right? It makes a ton more space and opportunity for the good things. So a lot of people don't recognize how big of a deal that is, because it is. I mean, it's a pretty damn big deal, honestly, to clear that capacity in our brains as a gift that we can give ourselves through these types of things that people don't recognize. I do this with my clients as far as like tasks and projects go, and I call it a platter. Like, imagine you have a platter in front of you and it's filled with all these random things. Well, no fucking wonder that your head can't concentrate and you can't focus. Your platter's fucking overflowing. So you clear things off one by one, and you deal with stuff and you get rid of them so that you have more capacity, which would be the platter not being cluttered. That's a thing I teach in some of my Get Shit Done programs and things like that. And I think I've talked about it in a podcast once before. But anyway, if you want more information about that, shoot us a message at the email below and we'll find it. I know I have stuff written about it I can share with you. So anyways, to be specific about what's going on right now, let's be real, okay? The summertime approaching, people want to do more fun activities. They want to have more fun. They want to enjoy life in a different way. They're out, they're running around, they're in the garden, they're in the yard, they're visiting with friends, they're taking vacations, they're going to the lake, they're going to the pool. Like, all these different activities that we want to do. Temperatures are different. The energy is exciting. Like, hot summer days, cool summer nights, right? Like, we have all of these different concerts, like stuff we want to do during the summer. Now, granted, I think that everybody's life has changed a bit when it comes to what they're doing, because of, the pandemic and whatever, but there's also a lot of stuff opening back up. And anyway, like, most of the things I just mentioned wouldn't necessarily be affected besides concerts, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so regardless, you know what I'm getting at. So preparing for that new time to enjoy these beautiful things that are really active during this time of year that we're about to come into. What a cool opportunity, right? To set yourself up for success and set yourself up for space to allow you to do more of those things. And so for me personally, like, that includes clearing a bunch of bullshit out of my space that I don't need to be distracting me or feeling heavy, or things that may cause me to do more work. So if I have too much shit in my house, that causes me more work, because then it gets cluttered easier and I have to clean more, and like, I don't want to do that. So that's where a lot of stuff goes away into storage during summertime because I don't want it in my house. That's when all my swimsuits come out. That's when all the flip-flops come out. That's when the summer bags and summer hats come out. Things like that. And it's just the allowance of that shift in your mind. This helps with that in such a big way. I mean, this could be put in so many different literal spaces as far as like if you have a pool or if you have kids with pool toys, like all of this stuff shifts, right? You have to get this stuff out. And what if you do it versus when, it's 3 weeks into June, you're like, oh crap, like I really want to enjoy summer. That's what I used to do. That's why I started making it such a big priority. We'd be halfway through summer and I would like not have done a damn thing that I wanted to enjoy summer with, like, 3 or 4 years ago specifically. Like that was definitely something that I think was happening for me and it would make me mad. It happened to me last year, quite honestly. Like I got so caught up, not last year, the year before, because I was dealing with other shit, that I didn't enjoy stuff for summer and it bummed me out, So like this is a way to set you up to where it's not as big of a deal to do some of the other stuff. Maybe you get your coolers out, like, whatever. The other thing that we're getting ready to do, and this is just like super other note, in my business, I have a reoccurring thing where I feel like I'm always trying to catch up, which is annoying considering the fact that like the deadlines and things that are placed on me are placed on me by me. The things that I'm trying to catch up on 9 times out of 10 are my own things that I had an idea about or needed to do and put it on a list versus just doing it. And a lot of it's piled up for a long time. Like I have a lot of really great ideas, and I got somehow along the way, I got away from my acting in the moment because I had so many things, kind of bogging me down, that I just have this very long, gigantic list of things that need to be done in the business all the time, to where it's constantly feeling like a catch-up game. I don't want to feel that way anymore. Like I'm over it. I'm done. So we are going through, and my assistant's going to pull any task that I have listed there that she can do or feels like she can help with. She's going to pull all those and assign them to herself. And then everything else I'm going to delete. I'm deleting everything. And here's why. The best ideas that I've ever had, the most lucrative ideas I've ever had, have been things that I think of and then I act on, or like put the wheels into motion fairly quickly on most cases. It allows my creativity and intuition to be more tapped in and even listened to, I should say. It definitely creates just a bit of a different scenario for me. And I've been searching for that. I've been looking for more enthusiasm. And I know that this is really going to help with that. And it's going to allow me to kind of have a blank slate as far as ideas and programs and things that we're doing and stuff like that. And I'm super looking forward to it. So that's the way I'm purging as I move into summer, because there are like 3 very specific things I want to achieve in my business over the summer and in my personal life over the summer. And I don't want all this other crap that's like lingering and coming in from 14 different places to be in my way. Because here's the other thing. If it was super duper important, I would have done it already. It'd be handled. If it was an idea that I was still feeling extremely passionate about, I would have created it already. I'm a firm believer in Big Magic. I've recommended that book to you guys before. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. The audio version is actually really a great read or a great listen to. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I believe in the fact that ideas come to me and things come to me for a reason. And if they're meant for me to create them, they'll come again. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm clearing the space and I'm really looking forward to it. And it's going to be really fucking cool. So that's just like also a business thing that you can be doing sometimes in the seasons if you're feeling that way. It's just something that I wanted to mention just because it may be beneficial to you to clear out your inbox, clear out your task list, things like that, of things that are just lingering for almost no reason in most cases. So that is my whole spiel. Like, I just wanted to shoot this out there to the world for somebody who maybe has been feeling a little bit like their world is caving in on them as far as like stuff and overwhelm goes, energy, emotions maybe, and like how this is a really cleansing, very cleansing act in itself. So whether you're super into energy or woo-woo or whatever, you don't have to be. Just doing this alone will be a cleansing act in itself, and you will feel better, like 100%. So I hope that this is beneficial to you. I hope that everything, something clicked there. You guys are able to take your nuggets away from whichever piece suits you. I have created a checklist, like a summer preparation checklist that I think is really cool and helpful. That is a little guide. So if you'd like to receive that for free, no strings attached, not a big thing. There's a link below. You sign up and it will email it to you. Something that you can look at, take from it what you want, and leave the rest, basically. And then I also wanted to mention that I am going to run a share challenge. I'm going to give away a bonus for people who are sharing certain things. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to keep track of who's doing this, and then I'm going to pull a couple of winners that are going to receive mini bonus, or like a mini session with me, where we'll get on the phone and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, basically whatever I can help you with or anything. Well, we can go over it. So that's something I'm going to give away. In order to be entered to win that, I need you to share, whether it's this podcast, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a Facebook post, share the thing and tag me in it. Below are my links for my social media or my social media handles. So that would be all you have to do. You can enter as many times as you want to. So over the next couple of podcasts, you can continue to do it. If you follow me on social media, same thing. If you don't follow me on social media, I highly suggest you do. We have fun over there. I share value every single day. All that information is below. So that is the share bonus challenge. If you're interested in doing that, all you have to do is share and tag me, and then I will put you on my list. And then when I draw a winner, I do it old school. I draw a winner out of a hat. I literally write names on pieces of paper, cut it up, put it in a hat, pull a piece of paper, and that's that. So you tag me, I'll write down your information, and then when I do the drawing, I will hit you up if you're the winner. So those are two things. If you'd like the free guide checklist to purging and preparing for summer, there's a link to enter your email and I'll send it to you. And then if you're wanting to enter into the mix to receive a free session with me, then that's the sharing bonus. Make sure that you tag me to get entered. So there is that information. As always, you guys, I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for making this worth it to me and helping create that ripple effect that goes in such more depth in affecting the positivity in the world more than any of us, I think, even can fathom. So thank you for being a part of that with me. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. If these conversations are things that you would like to know more about or have more of in your life, I do run a coaching group called Operation Do. It's a small price point. To be a member, we have weekly live calls and a monthly group hangout, which is really fun. It's all virtual, but I teach every week on Thursdays a different topic. And the really great part too is that there is an over 300 video gallery for you to choose from and watch old trainings on any topic you could possibly even think of. So it's just a huge value point. It's something that I'm very grateful for, to have the opportunity to teach in and interact in. And it's a great space for conversations like this, for continued growth, for support, for people of all different walks of life and levels of their own journey. So if you'd like to be there, you can visit us at the link listed below. It's called Operation Do. I'd love to see you there. Enjoy the rest of your day.